All right, so y'all know Mark Speaks. Let's talk about it. Y'all know last video I put up, I talked about the laws of attraction. I do believe in it, but my angle is a little different, a little unorthodox, come at it from more of a biological standpoint. I use biology or the biologics of cells to explain laws of attraction. It just kind of makes more sense to me that way anyway. But this laws of attraction, input, output, what you put in, you get out kind of thing, a very elementary, rudimentary, very basic, simple, uncomplicated definition, right? But the biologics is what makes me really sink my teeth into how the mechanisms and the science of laws of attraction work. Because, for instance, right, our DNA, right, within the cell, we have DNA. The DNA is the instructions for how you and I are going to look, right? Short version, very short, simple, sweet. This whole, matter of fact, this whole explanation is not anything that's too college level. It's very simple, right? This is not, like I said, it's very unsophisticated. If the DNA is our instructions, that's all it is. It's our instructions, right? The instructions that's to be encoded by the ribosome with the amino acid, which is the protein strings that formulates us, you and I. But before that can happen, the DNA has to be replicated or copied, and it's copied into RNA, and RNA is transferred by mRNA and tRNA into what's called a ribosome, which is within the cell, which is the actual workstation or work site where these amino acids, 20 amino acids, there's 20 of them, 20 amino acids, one of the 20 are encoded by the instructions. And we have you and I as the end product. And the end product, again, a fully developed organism. But how does that apply to the laws of attraction? Easy. The DNA is only information. It's only instruction. That's all it is. It's information, it's instruction that has to be decoded and encoded, right? That information is given to the ribosome. The ribosome, if you watch my last video, has it's within this, it's a substrate or subdepartment, subunit within the cell organelle. It's called an organelle. And all it does is replicate what you give to it. All it does, literally, there has no other function but to replicate, reproduce what is given to it. If a virus is given to it, it's going to replicate that virus. This is how HIV and all these other diseases are spread throughout your body. They metastasize throughout your body because the ribosome does not differentiate, it does not discriminate, it does not ponder, it does not consider, it does not wander. It simply says, hey, you give me this, I'm going to give you back that, right? And the interesting thing is it gives you the exact copy, right? It gives you the precise replication of what was given to it. So whatever the DNA instructions are that are fused with the ribosome gives the gene product of that. It gives you the exact gene product of that. Again, how does this ties into the laws of attraction? What you want out of life, whatever it is you want, your goal, your dream, your ambitions, whatever it is you want. When you capture the concept, the idea of what you want, and you place that into your subconscious mind, and mind you, you and I start out, we would say a zygote, right? But I'll go one step further or one step backward, working backwards here. No, we start out as gametes. Gametes are before zygotes. Gametes are the actual sperm and the ova, or ovum, female egg, male sperm. They're cells, sperm cells. We start out as a cell. And I said in the last video, we have over 100 trillion cells. We have trillions of cells that make up who we are, that constitute our entire makeup. So that means we're one big walking, talking cell. That's what we are. We're cells. I also made mention that a cell only function is to reproduce. It only reproduces what's given to it. And when I give you the micro mechanisms, working parts, we talked about the ribosome, which is the actual apparatus that does this replication. So if you and I, in essence, are cells, once you plant the idea of what you want, which is the idea in this sense represents the DNA, right? The instructions. The DNA gives the instructions to the ribosome. The ribosome in this analogy or in this scenario would be your subconscious mind. Once you give your subconscious mind the instructions, the DNA, I'm sure y'all are following me. Once you commit the instructions to the subconscious mind representing the ribosome, the subconscious mind, the ribosome, can only reproduce what is given to it. This is biologic. This is biology. This is biology. The ribosome can only reproduce what's given to it, and it will always do that. And so your subconscious mind will always reproduce what you give to it. This is a fact. This is scientifically proven, biologically proven. You can study this. This is fact. So this is why a lot of times people get worked up, they get aggravated, they give up on a lot of their dreams, their aspirations, ambitions, and so on and so forth. And the reason being is that we don't understand that this is where it's kind of paradoxical or contradictory. The contradiction comes in, because I'm gonna tell you, this is the contradiction. You have nothing to do with it. You have nothing to do with it. This is where the contradiction comes in, right? Because on one hand, you got to work hard to go get it, right? You got to get up, get out there, and you have to have some skin in the game in order to even win the game. Before you can win the game, you got to have skin in the game, right? So this is where the contradiction comes in, because I'm about to tell you right now, you have nothing to do with it. The DNA simply transfers the instructions to the ribosome, hands off. You dig what I'm saying? Once the DNA, here's where the DNA does have a responsibility. Let's say that the DNA represent you and I represent the DNA, because I'm giving you a scenario, a story here, and it's kind of an allegorical kind of story, right? So it's metaphorical, allegorical, right? We have things that represent something else. The DNA represent you and I represent the DNA. The DNA's only responsibility is to pass on its instructions, the genetic instructions, to what's called the RNA or the mRNA or the tRNA. Once the DNA transfers that information, it chills. It remains within the cell. It's done. That's it. It did its part. Its part was to transfer the genetic information to the other apparatus or the other working parts of the mechanism. And then it falls back and let it do its thing. If you and I represent the DNA, that's our responsibility. Our responsibility is to have a clear, cut, concise and precise, a very lucid description of what it is we want out of life. And this is the thing. If you don't know exactly what you want out of life, if the DNA passes on, this happens, it's facts. If the DNA was to somehow transfer or pass on faulty information or faulty instructions, you have a child that's born with one arm or, 6 fingers. It's called mutation, right? So if there's a mistake in the or sampling error in the DNA instructions, we have mutations, or we have what's called cell apoptosis, right? Which means cellular apoptosis means the process dies. The cell dies. It doesn't, it doesn't continue, because it would produce, like I said, some kind of deformity or mutative state, mutative gene. So if you're not clear and concise about what it is you want, if you're the DNA in the allegory here, you're going to be passing on faulty or sampling error or incomplete, erroneous instructions to the subconscious mind, and you're not, it's just gonna, what you're hoping for won't materialize the way you're hoping for it. So again, your purpose is to pass on to your subconscious mind exactly what it is you want out of life. Maintain the instructions that you're passing on, maintain that in the subconscious mind, and then hands off, step back. And that's where the contradiction comes in, right? Because it's like, well, you got to work hard. You got to work. Of course, you got to work hard. But like the DNA, your working hard is being able to maintain an attitude of gratitude. Maintain the instructions to the subconscious of what you want, and keep that maintenance, keep that energy, as they would say, keep that same energy. That's how the thugs or the millennials or the young people say nowadays, keep that same energy, son. So my thing is, it's very interesting. You have to understand that once you pass on the genetic information, so to speak, right, to the subconscious mind, right, keeping in mind with the allegory here, that once you pass on this information, the subconscious mind, like the ribosome, has to reproduce what you give to it. It has to build what you give to it. And remember that we are, I mentioned this a second ago, we're gigantic cells. That's what we are, right? And that's just a very simple way of saying it. Molecules, we're gigantic molecular cells or whatever, right? And cells have to reproduce what their environment gives to them. So put yourself in the right environment. In terms of environment, I mean the mindset, right? Your mindset has an environment that is conducive or is beneficial or helpful to that which you seek or aim to desire to achieve, right? Once you have the right atmosphere, and atmosphere again, in terms of your mindset, your state of mind, once you keep the environment of your state of mind in line with what you want, your subconscious, because look, 90% of our actions, if maybe even higher, 90% of our actions are governed, driven, and regulated by our subconscious mind, right? If you don't believe that, stop doing something that you really enjoy doing. If you enjoy smoking weed, try to stop that. If you enjoy chocolate ice cream, right, and you've been eating it for the last 20, 30 years, try to stop that. If you enjoy smoking cigarettes and you've been smoking cigarettes for the last 20, 30 years, try and stop that. The point, I think you see my point. What is deep down in the subconscious mind is what governs our actions, our behaviors, and our situations in our lives. It produces the situations in our lives. So once you plant the DNA, the genetic instructions in the ribosome of your subconscious, all you have to do is stand back now and let the powers that be, right, and let the powers that be manifest, work, and bring to you what it is you want. Your job is, again, like the DNA, is to transfer the information and to maintain the right environment. Environment in this case represents the state of mind that you are in. Once you maintain a healthy state of mind, go jogging, do a lot of exercise. I exercise a lot. I work out 3, 4, 5 days a week, power lift, run, I do all of that. You have to keep your energy, you have to release these chemicals. So exercising does a lot of that for you. And, meditate. Meditating is an excellent way to tap into that higher power. It's like meditation. I say meditation is picking up the phone and calling God. You get what I'm saying? That's how you connect. You talk to God on the jack. You dig? So meditate, concentrate, stay focused. Till next time, let's talk about it. Mark Speaks.